They covered the green signal light with a glove and connected a 6-volt battery to the red light. To the train driver, it looked like a standard stop. It was August 1963.
Here we are, lads. Let's go!
And a gang of 15 men had just pulled off the heist of the century. They were hiding in a remote farmhouse, £50 million in real stolen cash. But their masterpiece of planning had a single, messy flaw. This is the story of the Great Train Robbery. In 1963, Britain was changing, but the way banks moved money was stuck in the past. Every night, a Royal Mail travelling post office train left Glasgow for London Euston. It was a rolling vault, filled with high-value packages and thousands of banknotes being sent for destruction. The mastermind was Bruce Reynolds, an antiques dealer and thief with a taste for the finer things. He didn't want a small score. Reynolds spent months studying the train's route. He found the perfect spot, a lonely stretch of track in Buckinghamshire. But a train doesn't simply stop for a robber. Reynolds' gang included a man known only as Peter, an electrics expert. His job, hack the signals. On the night of August 8th, they covered the green signal light and connected a battery to the red light. It looked like a standard stop. It was the first cyber attack on the British rail system, decades before the internet existed. The train hissed to a halt. The fireman on board climbed down to the trackside telephone to find out why they'd been stopped. The wires had been cut. Before he could scream, he was grabbed by masked men. The gang swarmed the engine cab. Driver Jack Mills fought back and would leave him with severe head injuries for the rest of his life. The robbers forced him to drive the train a further half-mile to Bridigo Bridge, where their getaway trucks were waiting. Here is the crazy part. The train had 12 carriages, but the robbers only cared about the second one. The high-value package coach. They uncoupled the rest of the train, leaving 70 postal workers in the back carriages, completely unaware that a heist was happening just yards away. At the bridge, they formed a human chain. One by one, 120 bags of cash were tossed from the train into the waiting Land Rovers. In less than 30 minutes, they were gone. The total haul, £2.6 million. In today's money, that is over £50 million. The gang fled to a farm, a rundown property they'd bought weeks earlier. It was only 27 miles away. They knew the police would set up roadblocks, so they planned to go underground at the farm for weeks until the heat died down. Inside the farmhouse, the atmosphere was electric. There was so much cash that it literally piled up to the ceiling. They were millionaires overnight. As the adrenaline wore off and boredom set in, they did something that has since become legend. They found an old Monopoly board. Instead of using the fake money that came with the game, they used the stolen banknotes. They were literally playing for Mayfair and Park Lane with the very money the London police were scouring the country for. But Bruce Reynolds was worried. He had hired an accomplice, a man whose only job was to burn the farmhouse to the ground once they left. This was the cleaner. He was supposed to wipe every trace of their existence. The police investigation, led by Jack Slipper, was moving fast, but they weren't looking at the right farms. They were searching a 30-mile radius, and the robbers were just inside it. The gang realized they had to leave sooner than planned. They split the loot and vanished into the night. But the cleaner got cold feet. He never burned the house down. When the police finally arrived at the right farm, they hit a forensic gold mine. The robbers thought the house would be incinerated. They hadn't been careful. They found a bottle of tomato ketchup with a perfect thumbprint. They found fingerprints on the Monopoly board and a milk bottle. The fingerprints belonged to known criminals. Within weeks, the most famous manhunt in British history began. Most of the gang were caught within months. They were handed massive 30-year sentences, harsher than many murderers of the time, to send a message to the criminal underworld. But the story didn't end in prison. The most famous member of the gang, Ronnie Biggs, escaped from Wandsworth Prison by scaling a wall with a rope ladder and dropping onto a waiting furniture van. He fled to Paris, got plastic surgery, and eventually ended up in Brazil, where he lived as a fugitive for 36 years.